Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. And thank you very much for joining today's live stream news summary program from Moscow. And well, I try my best difference to come up with an interesting program with news about some major developments. And if you like the video, if you hear something new in terms of news, or if you hear some interesting opinion, then please click that like button, leave some commentary, might be very helpful to deal with their algorithm. And yes, if there are going to be any questions or the comments through support platforms during the stream, I will react, or after the stream, by the way, I will react on it, of course. And if not today, then I will answer to the question during the next stream. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. So that's being said, if you are watching on YouTube and if it's convenient for you to switch to my Rumble channel, will be nice. By the way, I can drop a link to my Rumble in chat, in the YouTube chat right now. Should appear any second. And okay, without any further delay, let's go through some news now. And I'm gonna start with the Munich Security Conference. Let's start with the Munich Security Conference, where Zelensky, by the way, and you can characterize Munich Security Conference based on what I read and see and listened with the two words lies and hate. Constant lies about Russia, about countries that Western ruling class does not like, Iran, China, and hate towards very same countries and the peoples, by the way. That's the, I think, quite accurate characterization of the Munich Security Conference, gathering of mainly extreme xenophobes, racists, fascists, right? And no one should be surprised. After all, this conference is taking place in Munich. So that said it all, right? And Zelensky was one of the liars that went there to fool, I don't know whom, really, because whoever they could propagandize, they're already being propagandized, right? And part of the society in this world that don't really take seriously anything that these creatures say that are in anti-Russian coalition, they're not going to be propagandized there, no matter how many times Western propaganda will spill all sorts of false narratives, right, through their means. But anyways, Zelensky went to whine about lack of more money and weapons, usual stuff. He was asking and even demanding more money. And he went even to slightly criticize the US, kind of, which is interesting. He said that American side is demanding peace agreement to be reached, and then they will provide security guarantees. And Zelensky said, no, it's not going to work like that. He's acting like he is a big boss, right? And he's saying that, well, first give us security guarantee, give us more money, more weapons, then we will think about peace agreement, maybe we will think about some concessions. It's crazy, by the way, how emboldened these psychopaths really are. And all because of restraint policies of the Russian Federation, because, I mean, I guess at this point, no one on this planet understands, really, nobody, maybe with the exception of a few people in the Kremlin, why this creature, Zelensky, for example, is still around. I mean, this is a head of terrorist organization, obviously, head of a genocidal group, Nazis, fascists. Why this creature is not being eliminated already, and all the others, right, that represent Kiev regime, this proxy terrorist organization of the Western ruling class? Makes no sense whatsoever, and I'm not even going to try no more to understand what is the calculus of Kremlin. I just simply don't care, man, no more, because it's useless to try to understand what is the calculus of Putin. He is just too old and too soft, I guess. That's all, right? But anyways, let me give you a video of Zelensky's statements. I believe I have a video. Just listen to it, man.
guarantees from the world leader, the United States of America, strong leader, and our American friend, they prepared security guarantees, but they said, look, first, swap the territories or something like that, and then security guarantees. So that's why I think first security guarantees. Second, it doesn't mean that we will give our territories, because there's different questions. Security guarantees, and we are ready for compromise, but we are ready for what kind of compromise?
So you see, in this video, he is clearly saying that, give us guarantees, give us everything we want, and then, we might think about some stuff, or we might not even, right? This is a kind of clearly a freak show, isn't it? At this point, this camp of enemies of Russia definitely fully transformed into gathering of psychopaths, genocidal maniacs, scum of humanity, and that's all, really. That's all, by the way. But yet again, what you're gonna do about it? Question is, what you're gonna do about it? Probably not much. Also, when it comes to this gathering of the Russia haters, Russophobes, xenophobes, racists, scum of humanity in Munich, well, Ursula washing machine went to, brag about her increasing defense, so-called defense spendings by 80% since the 2022 in the European Union. As I said many times before, nowadays, by the way, EU more resembles to a military alliance than an economical union, as it was originally, at least, founded, right? And yes, it's factually accurate that hundreds of billions of euros have been allocated, more than $1 trillion at this point, by the way, to invest in military-industrial complex of the European countries. Militarization is kicking off all over the European states. Poland and Germany is, of course, leading the charge, although other countries also are increasing their military spendings, and all to prepare for a war with Russia. That's all, man. Western ruling class understands perfectly well, especially globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe, that losing this proxy war against Russia means that they are doomed forever, these European elites, right? And they cannot live with this idea, and they will go all the way. They will go all the way to somehow achieve this sickening goal that they have of destroying Russia and grabbing all the riches that Russia has and belongs to Russian people. That's all, right? And they understand without these resources, by the way, they're not going to be able to compete on a geopolitical scale, on a world scale, right? And that will be certain demise of the dominance of the Western world over the rest of the world, right? So yes, sir, significant increase in spendings, and it's not just Ursula, Chancellor of Germany, another fascist creature, went to lying about that even though combined economy of Western world, the European countries, for example, is allegedly 10 times bigger than the Russian economy, Europe is not 10 times stronger, and the German Chancellor is not happy about it. He wants military superiority, total military superiority, to be established over the Russia. And yet again, Germany is leading the charge when it comes to, together with Poland, when it comes to extreme militarization, right? Hundreds of billions of euros are being allocated for military spending. And this topic that combined economy of Europe is significantly bigger than Russian economy, which is true, by the way, obviously. Of course, once again highlights that in the long run, this strategy of attrition war that Russia is deploying during this confrontation with the collective West will not work well in the long run, because once European countries led by fascists are totally militarized, by the way, once their military-industrial complex is in full operational mode, of course they will outrun the Russian military-industrial complex with the production of any type of weapons, right? And if you keep in mind that in manpower terms, Europe is also, of course, has superiority, then you can understand that well, Moscow has to do something. Moscow has to do something about their situation, because yet again we are in opposite, because we are fighting alone, right? Collective West, without allies being next to us, right? If we even have allies nowadays, Moscow have to come up with some drastic measures to neutralize hostile side until it's too late. Because yet again, once globalists will launch a direct war on Russia, open war on Russia, oh, it's gonna be hell, man. It's gonna be hell, right? And even though most likely we will teach them a lesson again, by what cost? How many millions of us gonna die again to put European elites into their places? How many millions of us gonna die, man? That's the question that I have now, right? Because yet again, combined Europe has much bigger potential militarily and manpower-wise than we do. And I said, man, before probably before end of this year or in the first half of 2027, globalists will launch their open war against Russia. They will come up with some justification, right? They will come up with some false flag operations, and eventually they will justify this war to their public. And I don't think they will really try hard, because the majority of societies in the Western world already been brainwashed to the level of total zombification, right? Majority of societies in the Western world are freaking zombies, man, brainless creatures. That's all. True, man, real talk here. They are total brainless freaking animals at this point, right? Brain dead creatures. And when it comes to this whine of Merz about being 10 times bigger economy, but not totally superior in all ways, including military topic. Well, we all know, by the way, we all know the direction that Germany is moving towards. It's nuclear weapons, right? It's nuclear weapons. They can produce combine their production of Europe definitely can outrun production of Russian military industrial complex in terms of artillery, in terms of tanks, in terms of infantry fighting vehicles, munition, anything. And once they will go full on militarization mode or mobilization mode, they will do it, right? But to become superior military power over Russia, they need nuclear weapons, right? Because right now France and the UK combined arsenal of nuclear weapons is about like 400 or 500 that theoretically speaking they can deploy, right? Russia has 5,000 plus 6,000 around that. So now we understand why lately Germany, Sweden, some officials and their former officials, political or military, are beginning to exercise the idea of becoming nuclear countries. In Germany, Sweden, elsewhere. On other front, by the way, on Eastern, Japan is doing the same, right? And it's all against Russia, by the way. It's all against Russia, all against China. We all understand this. And well, Russian envoy, Russian diplomat, by the way, commented on these aspirations of some, let's say at this point, some elements from German elites to become a nuclear power. Definitely is a topic that Moscow pays attention to. And let's go through this report on RT about the matter. The idea of obtaining nuclear weapons is no longer taboo for German politicians and the military. Russian envoy to Berlin, Russian ambassador to Germany, Sergei Nechayev, has told RIA Novosti, citing the growing discussions as a highly concerning. Berlin is in the process of a massive military buildup, planning to spend $582 billion on a defense over the next 4 years. A tremendous volume, isn't it? Tremendous volume. Citing their supposed Russian threat, German officials have set 2029 as their deadline for the armed forces to be war ready for a potential conflict with Russia, which Moscow has dismissed as nonsense. And dear friends, it is true that most of these first phases of extreme militarization in European countries, including Germany, is set to be finalized by 2029, by 2030. But I'm saying that there is a high probability that European countries will launch open war against Russia before end of 2026 or early 2027 or first half of 2027, because I think this is the time frame that Kiev regime can last as a max. This is the time frame, right? Another 12 to 18 months, I think, is maximum that Western ruling class can maintain this regime in Kiev and its battle capabilities until there will be a total collapse, right? Maximum 12 to 18 months. And therefore, I think globalists will scale back on the time frame of when they're gonna launch attack on the Russian Federation, and they're gonna launch attack on Russia, by the way, through several dimensions. The directions. Finland will be one direction to attack northern Russia, and from there move towards the center. There is also obviously Baltic Chihuahua states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, that on their own don't really present any real threat to Russia, but more and more NATO countries are deploying their military assets in these Chihuahua republics, right? Germany alone, for example, is deploying more than 100 tanks, hundreds of other military vehicles, equipment, right? And thousands of troops. First time since the Second World War, by the way, Germany is deploying its armored brigades outside of Germany, and it's going to station in Lithuania, right? Lithuania is bordering, as you know, Kaliningrad region of the Russian Federation. Let me show you on the map difference, these areas that we are talking about. So Lithuania is, of course, bordering Kaliningrad region of the Russian Federation here from one side, and Poland is from another side. So it's going to be not just Finland, Baltic Chihuahuas, but also Poland, that most likely will be the directions of attack on Russia, right? I understand this, sir. I guess Russian militaries understand this also perfectly well. And I don't know. We have to do something, man. Maybe a topic of preemptive strikes will be taken into consideration in Moscow, because yet again, if we allow European countries to militarize themselves, right, to go full mobilization mode in terms of military industrial complex, in terms of mobilization of the manpower, then they're going to have more weapons, more manpower than we do, right? Yes, they don't have battle capable armies. This is also true. And we have battle capable armies, but as some say goes, eventually quantity transforms into quality. Quantity also matters, for sure. And yet again, maybe Russian general staff will take into consideration probability of preemptive nuclear strikes on European NATO member states to make sure that they're not going to reach the point when they will feel free to attack Russia. And they're going to attack Russia, by the way, if we don't take action. 100%. I don't want to see war. I hate war, but we have to be realists, right? Europe is clearly moving towards direct war with Russia, and this Munich gathering of the fascists is all about that. It's all about Russia hate. It's all about destroying Russia, attacking Russia, doing this and that against Russia, first and foremost. And their secondary direction of their hate and aggression is, of course, Iran and China. So yes, nuclear, they're going to go nuclear. They're going to try to go nuclear. And are we going to allow this to happen? That's another legit question, I think. Will Moscow allow Germany, Sweden, and others in Europe to become nuclear countries? Or we will do what the US did, by the way, against Iran, targeting Iran's nuclear sites. Maybe we should target all their nuclear sites, all their industrial sites in Germany, in Sweden, in UK, France, everywhere, right? Among camp of our enemies. to take out their military capabilities. I mean, someone have to think about it, and someone have to talk about it also, right? And I will, man. If Russian leadership don't want to say nothing, I will, man. I will, because I live here in Russia, and my family lives here, right? And I don't want my country to be cut off guard by these criminals, right? Genocidal maniacs that are in charge of the Western world. And if possible, I want her to take some preemptive actions, right, to avoid full-scale total war, in which our enemies will have a superiority in manpower and their superiority in terms of military equipment. Why are we waiting, man? Why? Another quote from Russian diplomat: "The shift in the nuclear discourse is obvious. The topic of Germany's potential possession of nuclear weapons stops being a taboo and is being increasingly discussed by the media, and there gets more and more advocates among the politicians, MPs, the military officials, and the experts." The Russian ambassador told the RIA Novosti, and yes, this is true, but I spoke about this topic of discussions in Germany, Sweden, elsewhere, of becoming nuclear countries many times before, and finally Russian diplomats also began paying attention to this subject. And yet again, are we going to wait? That's the only question I have. Are we going to wait and allow them to get ready for a war against Russia as much as possible, or are we going to take some preemptive steps, right? And we have every right to take preemptive steps, because they are not even hiding that they are preparing for a war with Russia. They are not hiding this, right? They are not saying that they're going to attack Russia, but they're already attacking Russia. So it is logical next step, isn't it? They are engaged in a war against Russia through their proxy, first of all, right? Although they are deploying their military assets too, while still trying hard to maintain plausible deniability. But next step is open war. And everyone has to understand this, man. And it is time to, I think it is time to start talking about this on the highest possible level. And when it comes to these military investments that Europe is undergoing, 6 European countries, as an example, by the way, 6 European countries are uniting to create strike weapons, long-range strike weapons, cheap ones, right, that they can produce in mass. Germany, France, United Kingdom, Italy, Poland, and Sweden, what a gathering of Russia haters, man, intend to jointly develop and produce inexpensive cruise missiles. A corresponding agreement was signed in Berlin on the sidelines of the NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels, according to German Ministry of Defense. This will be implemented as a part of the European long-range strike approach initiative, as reported by German informed media outlets. Their project is called One-Way Effector 500 plus, and the aim is to explore the possibility of creating a common, inexpensive platform with the different payloads. Each country can integrate its own warhead. Production will be carried out in several countries. It is said that the OWE 500 plus will have a payload of 50 kilo of explosive materials and a range of about 500 kilometers plus, potentially. And the price per unit should not exceed 5-digit number. 5-digit number, by the way. So no more expensive than 99,000 for each cruise missile. So they are planning mass produce, by the way, mass produce thousands and thousands and thousands of these relatively cheap long-range cruise missiles, right? Is it a danger? Of course it is, man. Of course it is, right? Because if you are able to launch 1,000 cruise missiles single day, these cheap ones, right, then there are no air defense system in this world going to be able to intercept them all. It's just not possible. So obviously this is a dangerous development. And also when it comes to European hostility against Russia, their engagement in this proxy war against Russian Federation, Yesterday, Zelensky, while arriving in Germany to participate in the Munich Security Conference, this gathering of Russia haters and scum of humanity, he went to check one of the factories, by the way, assembly lines of FPV drones in German-Ukrainian enterprise. So it's a German-Ukrainian enterprise. It's a legit target for Russian militaries, isn't it? It's a legit target, man. It is reported that this year alone, 10,000 FPV drones will be sent to Kyiv regime from this particular manufacturing plant. And we're gonna sit around and watch how Germany is sending weapons to kill more and more Russian citizens. I mean, really, why on earth we have nuclear weapons? I mean, really, why on earth we have nuclear weapons? Take one strike, man. Take one strike somewhere in the forestry area in Germany, right? Just one hit. That's it, man. Everybody will wake up in Germany straight away. Everyone, literally everyone will realize that one wrong move from that point on, and they all are dead, man. Incinerated, literally. I turned to, radioactive dust. And I think that one strike will be enough also to bring to their senses literally everybody throughout the Europe. One strike. All it takes, man. Take some freaking empty space, empty place. You're going to find one, right? That there is no freaking living thing, or no human at least, right? In 10 miles around, 20 miles around. Just to be on the safe side, right? Because we don't want to harm innocent. Take a strike, man, and let them know, right? That one wrong move from that point on, and they all are freaking dead, man. And I don't want to hear any nonsense about, well, in that case, NATO will strike back. You know what? We will kill them all anyways. Then, right? Okay, man, they're gonna launch whatever they have against us anyways. They are dreaming about killing us all anyways, right? So what difference does it make? Horrible end is better than unending horror, right? And we are in unending freaking horror for far too long, by the way. So let's end this horror, even in horrible way. But let's fucking end it, man. Right? And I don't afraid to die, man. I don't think anybody here afraid to die. We don't want to die, but we don't afraid to die. Because we believe in destiny, right? We believe in fate. And whatever has to happen will happen. So there is no point to really afraid of anything. Including death, man. Fuck death. It's nothing. We will go to heaven. Our enemies will just freaking die. Period. When it comes to militarization of, and this is real talk, man. This is real talk. I mean, some people don't like that, I'm talking this way, right, about enemies, but come on, man. Why would anybody expect that I'm going to be polite towards my enemies? No, man. I want my enemies to be freaking dead, man. Right? Dead. That's normal stuff, man. We are humans, right? Apex predators. Most dangerous species on this planet. And let's not pretend any otherwise, man. We are far from being angels, by the way. And when we are facing threat, we are eliminating the threat, or at least dying trying. So let's do it, man. I'm all for that. All for that, man. Let's put these Western so-called elites into their places. Let's fucking kill them all, man. What is a big deal there? Really? And if we will die in process, then okay, fuck it, man. Then we will die too. But at least we will take out as many enemies as we can, man. That's a honorable death, man. Anyways, let's continue. Italy, together with others, will work on creating a new fighter jet that UK dreams about. Although I don't think they're going to succeed. Italian Parliament approved their funding plan of nearly 9 billion euros for a global combat air program a joint project with the UK and Japan to create a fighter jet, the cost of which at the initial stage more than triple the initial estimates. According to a parliamentary document, the Defense Committee of lower house of Parliament approved the government's proposal of allocating 8.77 billion euros for the initial stages of the program until 2037. In December 2022, Italy, UK, and Japan launched their JSAP program. The aim is of which to create a new generation of fighter jets by 2035. Well, I think they're gonna fail, man. No matter how much money they're gonna allocate. When it comes to these combined projects in Europe, I mean, they did manage to produce Eurofighter, a relatively decent plane for its time, but it's nothing extraordinary, and I don't think European aerospace industry is capable of producing some decent stuff. Really, they can come up with some shit, right? They always do, but if we take preemptive actions, if we take preemptive strikes, then they will definitely would not be able to come up with any weapons that will ever threaten the Russian people. And I'm all for that, man. Right? I'm all for that. Let's fucking kill them all, man. Europe just pledged, and yesterday I reported that these fucking animals that are in charge of Western world pledged $35 billion to purchase weapons to prolong this proxy war against Russia. And Germany alone, by the way, plans to allocate 12.5 billion euros. Germany alone. Norway also plans to provide 7 billion to prolong this war, and Sweden also plans to provide 3.7 billion. UK 3 billion. Denmark 2 billion. I mean, you tell me, man, do we have a right to eliminate these criminals that are in charge of these countries? I mean, honestly, man, is not a war against us? Should we treat these criminals with any mercy or something? No, absolutely not, man. And one day, I mean, we need Stalin, man, someone like Stalin, to make sure that I'm not hungry, though. I'm just talking about. Okay, Anna is not happy. She thinks I'm too aggressive. I'm not aggressive, man. I'm just saying the truth, man. That's how very many people feels here in Russia, because there is a frustration, right? After all, we are nuclear powerhouse. At least that's how we know it, right? That we always been told that we are nuclear powerhouse, and this and that, and these countries, man, left and right, are acting against us, committing acts of war on daily basis, as if that's nothing, man. If we are banana republic here, and I mean, I don't know, are we banana republic really, or nuclear powerhouse? I don't know. At this point, I don't know, man. They are treating us for years as a banana republic. That can, I say with certainty, because it's true, right? They are treating us as if we are banana republic, man. Right? They are insulting Russian people on daily basis. They are insulting Russian leadership on daily basis, Russian militaries on daily basis. They are insulting all of us, and committing acts of wars on daily basis. And I don't know, man. They are clearly treating us to be as if we are banana republic. Factually accurate statement, isn't it? Even if we are not. And there also something interesting. Poland and Lithuania prepare NATO exercises right at the Russian border. The National Interest reports, U.S. conservative think tank magazine. These exercises are planned near Kaliningrad region in the Suwalki Gap, a key corridor on the Polish-Lithuanian border between Russia and Belarus, between Belarus and the Kaliningrad region of the Russian Federation. And you can see, by the way, this Suwalki Gap location of this gap. And you think these military exercises are against whom? Against aliens? from Andromeda Galaxy? No, man. They are not hiding nothing. They are preparing as much as they can for a war against us, right? And why we are giving them time to prepare better, I have no freaking idea. Let's fucking kill them all, man, and there will be no issues no more. Let's just fucking kill them all, man. Holy shit, man. And, well, you know, we are standing alone against this evil force, isn't it? We are standing alone against the collective Western, against Western ruling class. And in case there are some potentially new members here watching this live stream, I want to make it clear that when I'm talking in aggressive manner against about Western world, I'm talking about Western elites, man. I have nothing to do with the ordinary people, by the way. Even if majority of them are freaking brainwashed zombies, I still have no hate towards them, man, right? I don't want no innocent people to be hurt anywhere. But when it comes to Western elites, Western ruling class, political, military leadership, they are enemies of ours, and I have no sympathy towards them. And of course, I want them to be dead, man. It's a real talk, man. It's true. So I'm not going to pretend they're otherwise, right? And when I die, I will answer for my opinions, my actions to higher power, right? But I'm not going to pretend. For sure, I'm not a freaking actor. I don't pretend, man. And, you know, we are alone. We are fighting alone against this evil force that Western ruling elites are, right? And many people worldwide are more and more critical, therefore, of our so-called Russian allies or the strategical partners. Because with the very few exceptions, and these exceptions being Belarus, Iran, and North Korea, no other country actually standing shoulder to shoulder with us in this fight against evil force. And well, people are watching, you know, these developments from, you know, everywhere throughout the world, and are asking questions. You know, what the hell, man? Even members of our community, I mean, quite often are asking why strategical partners of the Russian Federation are not standing with Russia, why they are not providing actual, you know, real assistance, right? With their weapons, with manpower, with everything, because this is existential struggle of humanity against evil force, and Russia is fighting for humanity, right? And this criticism of these so-called Russian partners is become so intensive, including criticism of the BRICS and the BRICS member states, that deputy of Russian Foreign Minister Ryabkov, who might replace one day, by the way, Sergei Lavrov, he was asked about this matter, right? And he had to reply that, well, there are no plans to transform BRICS into a military bloc. BRICS is an economical union, so therefore no one should have any other expectations, which is true, by the way, factually accurate statement. Of course, BRICS is an economical union, and when there is a conversation why BRICS members are not assisting Russia, it's not because they are BRICS members, by the way. People are asking questions. No, man, it's because these countries, formally at least, are strategical partners of Russia. And simultaneously it happened to be that they are also BRICS members, and BRICS was seen, I don't think any longer, but you know, some time ago BRICS was being seen as a foundational stone of their multipolar world, right? It is no longer the case. I think at this point, vast majority of original supporters of the BRICS and their multipolarity probably are extremely disappointed, as I am, right? For many reasons, by the way. And one of the reasons being, yes, I mean, why are we alone, man? Almost alone. North Korea, Iran, Belarus, yes, they are standing with us, but where is the India, man? Why India is not sending its manpower? Why India is not sending its military equipment? We are fighting their fight too, isn't it? Why China is not doing the same? And I remind you, dear friends, that, you know, some might say, well, they are still maintaining some business relationships with Russia, right? Yes, they do, because it's beneficial for them, man. not out of like kindness. They are doing this. It's beneficial for them, man. India was buying Russian oil with significant discount and making tens of billions of dollars on that, while reselling to Europe or to whichever direction. They were making good buck on that. China does the same, right? But, just a reminder that 80%, allegedly, 70-80% of components of drones that Kyiv regime is using, FPV drones, for example, that Kyiv regime is using to kill Russian citizens are Chinese origin. Chinese origin, Paul. So China is making millions, potentially billions on this war, right? While selling weapons or double-use equipment to enemies of Russia. So don't give me this crap that China is somehow Russia's friend, man. No, China is not Russian friend. Never was and probably never will be, because if China is not standing with us right now in these extremely difficult times, then, I mean, when times are good, man, anybody is your friend, right? When times are difficult, that's when true friendship is being examined, right? And China definitely failed. India failed, by the way, and I really feel sorry for that, man. I don't give a damn about China, never did, but India is a different story, man. I really upset that India is not supporting, man, right? And they are continuing to make statements that they are neutral, they stay neutral. Oh, really, man? This is a war between light and the evil force, and you are saying you are neutral? What kind of human are you, for God's sake, man? How you can be neutral when there is a existential struggle between humanity and the evil force? And we'll understand what the evil force is, right? Western ruling class, man. Western elites. Take a look at the Epstein files. If you have any doubts that Western elites are evil, then take a look at least Epstein files. I mean, you may don't go through history, and how many genocides and horrible steps Western elites did take. But take a look at the freaking Epstein files to understand what kind of creatures they are, man. So BRICS is not a military union, and there are no plans to transform it into one. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov told the TASS news agency, I would like to remind you that BRICS is not military union and not a collective security organization with their collective defense commitments. It has never been planned as such, and there are no plans to transform it for their purpose. As far as the recent naval exercises in South Africa is concerned, the BRICS members participated in it as sovereign nations. It was not a BRICS event, he added. And I remember, dear friends, there was some reports, and I reported about this exercise that took place in South Africa. And initially there was reports that this was these exercises were conducted under the umbrella of BRICS, and I was happy about it. I believed in the reports, because that's what officials, by the way, from South Africa and Iran, according to reports, were saying. But now, we have more clarity on that. It was never a BRICS event. It was just exercises of countries, right? Not under umbrella of BRICS, which is unfortunate. Of course. But yet again, Ryabkov is factually correct. I mean, he makes factually accurate statements. Yes, of course, BRICS is not a military organization, but BRICS member states promise each other to be strategical partners, strategical allies, right? And as far as I'm concerned, friendship, by the way, true friendship means aiding your friends, man, even if they are not asking. But if you know they need your help, man, if you know that you can provide assistance, then just do it, because that is correct, man. That's the only correct way, man, to behave if you are a true friend. And with the exception of you, yet again, with the exception of you, none of these so-called allies of Russia or strategical partners acted as a friend, man. So therefore, we should always take, from now on, by the way, we should always remember that when times were extremely hard, neither New Delhi neither Beijing, neither Brazil, neither Pretoria, none of them, man, right, were standing next to us, fighting the evil force. We should always remember this, man. And you know what? I understand perfectly well why there is a say in Russia that this country has only few allies, by the way: Russian army, Russian navy, right? And we can add, of course, strategical nuclear forces, strategical missile forces, and the air force. That's the only allies that we have, man. That's all. Although some countries clearly provided assistance, man. North Korea, Iran, Belarus, yes, definitely, you know, they did what they could. Meanwhile, there is reports. There is reports confirmed by Kremlin that on February 17th, 18th, there will be next round of useless talks between trilateral useless talks between delegations of Kiev regime, Washington, and Russian Federation. These talks will take place in Geneva. Previous talks were in Abu Dhabi, in United Arab Emirates, and for whatever reason, they moved their stage for these talks in Geneva. This is big mistake, of course, I think, on Moscow's side, because you are legitimizing Switzerland as a neutral state while taking such a step, and Switzerland is not neutral state, right? And therefore, Moscow should never agree to hold any talks in Geneva. Geneva is a hostile territory. Switzerland is an enemy of Russia and the Russian people, period, right? Yes, I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on in Kremlin, by the way, what they think and how they think about stuff. But yeah, they agreed to hold the talks in Geneva, and of course, it's going to be useless, man. Maybe some agreements will be reached on a humanitarian track, but let's keep in mind that agreements on a humanitarian track, exchange of POWs or transfer of bodies of the killed military personnel, these contacts were happening anyways, without these bilateral, trilateral talks and stuff, right? So generally speaking, Istanbul talks, Abu Dhabi talks, and now Geneva talks is just a waste of time. For whatever reason, we are allowing Western elites to lure us into these traps. And this is traps, by the way, right? Attempt on the west on side of our enemies to mislead Moscow, and even if they failed in that, still they are managing to waste our time, right? And maybe influence our focus, which is bad. There is nothing good about it. Source spoke about the format of the negotiations on Ukraine in Geneva, according to RIA Novosti. So the meeting on the Ukrainian settlement in Geneva will continue their negotiations initiated in Abu Dhabi. Source told RIA Novosti. This will be continuation of the trilateral talks that took place in Abu Dhabi at the military level, but now in expanded format to discuss both military and other aspects of the settlement. This time, the negotiation group will include 15-20 people. Okay, easy if it matters, man. From Russian side, one of the members of the delegation seems like will be aide of Russian President Kirill Dmitriev. Although I saw reports, by the way, that Russian delegation gonna be led by Medinsky, right? Who was leading Russian delegation during the Istanbul talks. So reports are that even though Kirill Dmitriev probably will be there, Russian delegation going to be led by Medinsky. We will see. We will see. American side will present her. Will be led, I guess, by Steve Witkoff, potentially, because he and Kushner are also going to be presented there during Geneva talks. Okay, I don't expect anything really to come up from these talks, so therefore I think it's a pure waste of time, and for whatever reason we are just allowing Western ruling class to keep us into this trap, right? This is not real politics, man. This is not this. There's too much. Everything is fake right nowadays. Almost everything is fake when it comes to international relationships, and this is very unfortunate, man. Diplomacy as a profession seems like no longer needed in this world because, especially because Western ruling class weaponized diplomacy and using diplomacy to this for deception purposes, right? To mislead the opposite side. So I don't really understand that there is any need to have to be engaged in this nonsense, right? Because it's a fake stuff, man. It's a fake stuff. Why are we part of it? Leave some backdoor means of communication between certain institutions, right? Between foreign ministry, defense ministry, just in case. And that's it. That's it. There is no need of this bullshit, man. Why we are participating in this crap? Don't we see and hear what globalists and globalist-controlled puppets all over the Western world are saying and for what they are preparing, what they are doing, allocating billions to prolong this war, also investing hundreds of billions in their military capabilities to reach the point when they will feel comfortable enough to launch open war against Russia. We all understand what is going on, so why we are participating in this bullshit then? These so-called negotiations. Negotiations about what? Lavrov just a couple of days ago said that Russian side did not even receive any official document with anything that can be discussed. So if Russian side did not receive even a draft of their potential agreement, then what they gonna discuss in Geneva, man? I mean, honestly, man. This is so freaking fake. All this stuff, man, it's so fake. It's just beyond anything, man. Right? Because Lavrov literally a couple of days ago said during his interview, either with the BRICS TV or with their NTV, that Russian side did not, either officially or through other means, did not receive any draft document about agreement, peace agreement. So there is nothing to discuss, therefore, right? So why we are sending people in Geneva and why we are wasting taxpayers' money? If Russian budget has like too much money and they don't want what to do with it, I will give it to me, man. Right? I'm fucking struggling here financially, so just give it to me, man. How much this gonna cost? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? To buy tickets for 20 people, pay for hotels and then the rest of the stuff, right? And when these 20 people are going, there is another 50 people for probably security stuff, right? This event will cost Russian budget millions of dollars. For what? Really? How long this shit gonna continue, man? There is a Financial Times report, by the way, that Marco Rubio allegedly pulled out of the key Ukrainian meeting with European leaders in Munich at the last minute, officially citing scheduling conflict. And I guess, yes, that's what you should do when you understand that your time is worth something. I mean, how many these useless talks gonna happen with participation of Rubio, for example? I mean, what he gonna hear new if he went on that meeting? What he will hear new that he did not already like 50,000 times? Nothing, right? So that's the right approach, man. No, man, I don't give a fuck, man. I'm not gonna waste time talking to this garbage, right? Zelensky or whomever. I already know what they're gonna say, right? So leave me alone. Right approach, man. Right approach. European officials interpreted the move as a signal that Washington's commitment to tight coordination with its allies on the war is fading. And this is not true, by the way. US is still #1 country when it comes to this proxy war against Russia. US sends more weapons. US provides more assistance to this proxy regime, terrorist regime in Kiev than any other country or all the other countries combined. So what what European officials are talking about. This is also deception, part of deception operation, right? To create this nonsense or fake narrative that, well, US is somehow distancing itself from this war. No, man, they are not distancing themselves from nowhere. They are sending weapons, they are sharing intelligence. Just last night, by the way, Volgograd, I believe Volgograd and Belgorod were targeted again. Residential areas were hit by HIMARS missile systems. And you know, whenever HIMARS are launched, by the way, intelligence and flight path, targeting data for those missiles are provided by whom? By Pentagon, right? By Pentagon. So US is not moving nowhere, man, right? It's just a faking, this fake narratives that being created literally like in dozens every faking day to mislead her, to confuse Moscow in this particular case. That's all, man, right? In reality, I'm quite sure Rubio said, I'm not going to have this freaking talker with these nobodies because I'm not going to hear nothing that is interesting. That's all, man. And on human level, you can understand this, right? Approach. I mean, you know, Rubio is like one of the most powerful people in, formally at least, based on his positions in US, man. He's a national security advisor and the head of State Department. So why should anyone expect that he gonna like pretend that these meetings with Zelensky or whomever there are important and they are discussing something that they have not discussed before, like numerous times, man, right? So really nothing extraordinary there, but clearly this attitude of Washington is something that I think Moscow should adopt too, right? And should distance itself from these meaningless, useless so-called negotiations. And also another false narrative when it comes to it, by the way, the statement from this report from Atlantic, right, that Trump allegedly might abandon the Ukraine settlement in coming weeks if there is no progress. Also false narrative, by the way. If Trump wanted to pull out US from this proxy war, I mean, nothing is stopping him, right? If Trump, and to be more precise, forces that are in charge of Trump, right, the shadow forces that are actually pulling the strings, if they wanted to pull out US from this proxy war against Russia, they had the entire freaking year already, right, since the inauguration of Trump in his second term. So why they did not? Why they did not pull out US, man? Because they don't have such plans. All they do now is just shifting more responsibility for this war on European elites, right, on European countries. And Washington is openly saying, by the way, you know what? Now you take over. We will give you all the weapons you want, okay, right? But you lead the charge against Russia. And we will be focused on China more. That's all US is doing. Washington never said that they're gonna, pull out from this war. No, they just want to be focused on other directions. That's all. And while they will provide all the weapons Europeans will need, right, to prolong this war as much as possible. And that's what they do. Just recently, Rutte, I believe, Secretary General of NATO, stated that, they're gonna, US already prepared their next packages of military deliveries for 20 billion or something. 20 freaking billion, man. Does it look like US ruling class plans to pull out from anywhere? No, absolutely not, isn't it? So this is yet another false narrative that US gonna walk away and this and that. They're not gonna walk away from nowhere, man. Yet again, this proxy war will end only when we will force Western ruling class to submission. And we will do it, man. We will do it one way or another. But we will do it no matter how long it will take, how much time will be needed, and no matter the cost. We did it, our ancestors did it before. My grandfather, his generation, did it during the Great Patriotic War. grandfather of my grandfather did it during the Napoleon campaigns, right? Or during the First World War, and then, although First World War did not really end well for us because of the Bolsheviks, man, and their revolution. But our ancestors did put the European elites in their places on numerous occasions, right? Including my ancestors, personal ancestors, grandfather and the grandfathers of my grandfather, and so on. And we can do it again, man. We can do it again. Only question is cost, man. How many millions of us gonna die in the process? But we will do it. And yes, Europe definitely is a much bigger economy. Combined, Europe is much bigger economy than Russian Federation. European military industrial complex can outproduce Russian military industrial complex once transformed into full mobilization mode. And we should keep in mind that US is there too, right? And US economy is definitely bigger than Russian economy. And yet again, US is not pulling out from nowhere. They are openly saying that they will transfer as many weapons as Europeans ask for and pay for, So, yes, they are in a better position in terms of economy, in terms of capabilities of their industries. But there is also something very important, by the way, fighting spirit. And when it comes to combat experience and when it comes to fighting spirit, I think we are in much better position than Western countries ever gonna be, man. We are ready to die, man. I am ready to die. I don't give a fuck, man. I don't want to die, but I said many times before, isn't it? That if there is mobilization, let's start from me, man. I'll go first. I have some medical conditions, but during the mobilization, I will pass, I guess, right? I cannot pass now to join Russian army because their requirements are more strict. But if it's a total war and their full-scale mobilization, then your medical conditions may be looked over, right? So yes, we have fighting spirit, by the way, and we will fucking kill them all, man, all of them, right? If it comes to it, and when it comes to it. But it's not necessary, man, millions to die, man. It's absolutely not necessary, millions to die. We can take preemptive actions, right, and put Western elites into their places without this total war and stuff, right? But yet again, for this, decisions have to be made, political decisions, and Russian military and security services will deliver. I have no doubts, man. Russian militaries and their security services will deliver. All they need is their hands to be untied. That's all. And then couple of weeks, man, and we will wake up in a very different world when Western elites are on their knees, right, and begging for mercy. Kommersant newspaper, meanwhile, is reporting that whoever will survive from them, they will be on their knees and begging for mercy, man. That's what we can do. All it takes is political decision in the Kremlin. And then Russian militaries will deliver, Russian security services will deliver. 100%, million percent. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that Bloomberg... I already spoke about this stuff, by the way. That allegedly, Kremlin has prepared their memorandum of proposals for the Trump administration, calling for Russia to return to dollar transactions and to establish cooperation in different fields. And I said yesterday straight away, isn't it, that this is a Bloomberg reporting, so therefore let's take this report with a pinch of salt. And yesterday, press spokesman of the Russian president, Peskov, was asked about it, and he didn't went into specifics, but he said that yes, there is some talks, some conversations about possible future cooperation, But all these talks are related to the times when this Ukrainian crisis is resolved. So that's all, right? There is some ideas that being worked on, exchanged, but all these ideas about possible future cooperation, maybe including Russia to go back to dollar in its trade, all this is all these talks are related to after wartime, post-war time, right? And and therefore, because no one knows when this war gonna end, I think this topic does not really deserves much attention. And on 17th of February, parallel to trilateral talks between U.S. delegation, Ukrainian terrorists and their mass murderers, and the Russian Federation delegation, they're going to be another negotiations too in Geneva also between U.S. and Iran. And many media outlets, including Interfax, is reporting about it. U.S. and Iran delegations will hold a round of nuclear talks in Geneva this coming Tuesday. Axios journalist Barak Ravid reported on Saturday night. And yet again, when it comes to negotiations with the Western ruling class, with the regimes that they are in control of, including US, it's all waste of time, always, right? It does not matter if Russia is engaged in these talks or Iran or anyone else. It's always waste of time because Western elites, Western governments, let's say, never gonna honor any agreement that they will reach. These are total liars, by the way, scum of humanity. Western elites are scum of humanity, so no one should waste time talking to them, and no one should have any expectations that even if during these talks, if they decide to participate, even if some agreement was reached, no one should expect that Western elites will honor this agreement, man. Right? No one with brains. I mean, some brainless freaking zombies can expect anything, of course, but normal people with their working brains know that Western elites cannot be trusted ever, period. There is no but after that, right? Period. So Iranian leadership is also wasting time talking to Americans, right? But they know this time around, they know that they are wasting time, right? And if US is gaining, while engaged in these false negotiations, if US is gaining time to increase its military presence in the region to better prepare to attack Iran in attempt under the orders of the Western ruling class, right? In pursuit of total destabilization of the region, Iran is also kind of gaining time, isn't it? Just to prepare better, right? Because they know this time around it's going to be not just a decapitation strike, but U.S., Israel, their allies will are preparing for a longer and and for long attacks, right? They are Western world and Israel. They are preparing to sustain long time attacks on Iran, long time military pressure on Iran. They want to because they want to create total power vacuum inside Iran and provoke civil war, basically. First and foremost between Persians and Azerbaijanis. First and foremost between two major ethnic groups in Iran, Persians and Azerbaijanis. And Iran understands this. They have to. They have to be. And Iran, I guess, understands this, and hopefully, society in Iran, ethnic groups also, have been informed what is going to be task of this attack, right? To create tension, to create power vacuum, and to create tensions between the ethnic groups, right? To force them to fight to fulfill this vacuum. And if they are smart enough, by the way, they would not allow Western ruling class to succeed, and they're gonna be no civil war. But if they are smart enough, that is, we will find out. We will find out anyways, because yet again, US might need another 3-4 weeks to deploy more and more assets to the region, and after that, probably they will feel comfortable enough to launch massive attacks on Iran, right? And there are reports already, by the way. It's not just me that was saying that US is preparing for a longer and sustainable attacks on Iran, but now Reuters is reporting about it too. So my understanding of the situation, I guess, really correct. I predicted that US will send a aircraft carrier, right? And maybe not just one, but more. Whatever number of aircraft carriers are operational and ready to be deployed or will be deployed towards the Middle East, right? Most likely amphibious forces, amphibious ships also that are carrying vertical landing and takeoff planes, like either old Harriers, American version, it called EV-8 or something, or AV-8, British Harrier planes, by the way, and they're Su-35s. They are modification of Su-35s of vertical takeoff and landing, right, or short takeoff and landing. So they will need, Pentagon will need another month also, right, to deploy more and more assets, and by the way, now Reuters is reporting on the matter that Pentagon is planning a prolonged military campaign against Tehran. If negotiations fail, U.S. military is preparing for a possible protracted weeks-long operation against Iran if President Donald Trump orders an attack, which could lead to a far more serious conflict than ever before between their countries, the agency reported, citing U.S. officials. And well, for our community, this is not a surprise, because while talking on the matter, I've said there, I don't know, a million times, that yes, U.S. will U.S., Israel, and whichever other country will be engaged in this war against Iran, they will go ahead with their large-scale attacks for many, many weeks or potentially even months, right? Potentially even months to create this power vacuum. So therefore, I was saying, isn't it, that this attack, U.S.-Israeli attack or Western Israeli attack will be focused not just on political and military leadership, but also on all sorts of on horizontal governance also, by the way, right? Not just on vertical leadership, but on horizontal leadership too. They will bomb administrative buildings all over the Iran. They will bomb police stations all over the Iran, right? They will bomb medical facilities. They will bomb vital infrastructure for water supplies, electricity supplies, for example, right? To create chaos, total chaos, and to create total power vacuum. And to achieve this, because Iran is a massive country, by the way, right? It's a massive country. It's 3 times bigger than Iraq. To achieve this goal, U.S. Israel or West and Israel will need not just many weeks of constant bombardment campaign against Iran, but potentially many months. And to sustain such a high level of military activity, of course, U.S. will have to deploy whatever is there in their hands, right? All the possible aircraft carriers, amphibious warships with vertical takeoff planes, attack vessels, right, that carry cruise missiles, and of course, throughout the Middle East, there will be dispersed squadrons. Numerous squadrons will be dispersed in different bases, right? And even though Saudi Arabia, UAE, other countries said that they're not going to allow their ground, their waters, and air to be used against Iran, they will allow, of course, by the way. We all know this. A word of Riyadh worth nothing. Literally nothing. But when it comes to US, Riyadh will do whatever they've been told to do. And it's not just Saudi Arabia. All these regional, these quasi kingdoms, by the way, are the same, right? They are led by fucking scum of humanity, man. Come on now. It is what it is. Mostly. That's how it is. And so, yeah, we all know what's going to happen. And, US and Israel is preparing. Iran is preparing. Just recently, by the way, Vance went to Armenia and Azerbaijan. And obviously, topic of discussion was a war with Iran. Obviously, most likely, J.D. Vance's delegation was, during these negotiations, we're trying to make sure that, Iran and Baku gonna do whatever is necessary from them to allow U.S. and its allies, Israel, to attack Iran, right? Also, when it comes to Azerbaijan, by the way, I'm quite sure Vance tested the ground on the possibilities that Azerbaijanis from Azerbaijan influencing Azerbaijanis of Iran to go for independence, or to confront Persians, right? Because as I said, man, Western ruling class wants a ethnic war. They want civil war, right? Throughout the Middle East, by the way, not just in Iran, but throughout the Middle East. And they want also, whenever they will manage to do it, wars to be provoked between their regional countries, Saudi Arabia and Iran, for example. And, well, I don't know. I don't know if Baku will succeed brainwashing significant enough a number of people in Iran, among Iranian Azerbaijanis. I don't think they're going to succeed, because Iranian Azerbaijanis, by the way, are nation builders. They build Iran, by the way, together with Persians, right? They have imperialistic ambitions, mentality. They are not second-class citizens in Iran, man. They don't see themselves to be minority or majority or anything like that. They are nation builders. And in past 500 years, most of the dynasties that were leading Iran were Azerbaijanis, ethnic Azerbaijanis, by the way, right? So that's why I'm saying that U.S., Western Israel still might fail, despite all the preparations. They might still fail, because it's not going to be easy to push these two brotherly people, by the way, Azerbaijanis and Persians, to fight each other. Why are they going to fight each other? What for? They build their great civilization together, right? And why should they start killing each other now? Especially when they all understand that that's what Western elites want, right? So I think there is a probability that U.S. going to fail, man. Israel going to fail. Western world going to fail in provoking their civil war in Iran. Of course, they can deal significant damage to Iran. That's for sure, man. And recovery for Iran will take her, if survives, then recovery will take her potentially decade or two, right? But there is a probability that nevertheless, Western ruling class will fail to provoke civil war. And without civil war in Iran, by the way, they would not be able to destabilize whole region, right? If there is no civil war in Iran, Saudi Arabian leadership will never dare to attack Iran, because, they're going to be smashed, man. They're going to be smashed. And Iran will not even have to send its own troops to Saudi Arabia. Iraqi Shiite militia will do the job, man. They will eat Saudi army alive, right? And when I say Iraqi militia, by the way, these are battle-hardened troops that fight ISIS, right? U.S. created U.S. creation, ISIS, U.S., British, Saudi creation, Israeli creation. So yeah, that's how it is, man. That's how it is. And I hope there is active war in Iran to inform the public, to inform everybody that Western world wants to provoke civil war, right? Civil war. And they cannot allow this to happen. And this work with people have to be done throughout the country, with Persians, with Azerbaijanis, with their Kurds, with the Baluchis, with everybody. There is a significant Georgian diaspora, by the way, in Iran also. Descendants of the Georgians that were forcefully moved by Iran, one of, Iranian shahs centuries ago from Georgia, from eastern Georgia. In Fireidan, there is a province in Iran where still to nowadays, I believe hundreds of thousands of Georgians are living, maybe millions, right? Ребят, Ань, можешь загуглить, сколько в Иране грузин этнических? Можно загуглить, сколько грузин в Ферейдане, провинции Ирана? Да, население там, популяция грузинской диаспоры, скажем так, если так загуглить. Да. В Иране, да. I'm asking Anna to just to do a little search right now on internet about number of Georgians in Iran. Definitely not a bigger, not a massive community as Azerbaijan is, for example. But I think numbers are either in hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions. Alisa, can you tell me how many ethnic Georgians are living in Iran?
More than 100,000 ethnic Georgians live in Iran.
Okay, more than 100. Okay, you see, Alisa, this is AI. Thank you, Alisa.
You're welcome. I'm always here to help.
Okay, great. So yes, more than 100,000 ethnic Georgians are in Iran, by the way. Not millions, but still. So
more than 100,000 ethnic Georgians
okay.
live in Iran.
Okay, that's enough. So all the ethnic groups, by the way, have to be told what is the dangers, right? And they should stay united and not allow Western ruling class to succeed in provoking a civil war and bloodshed in Iran. What else have I bookmarked to share, dear friends? Let's see. You already know that U.S. plans to deploy Gerald Ford aircraft carrier from Caribbean to Iran, and this is interesting. I predicted that U.S. most likely will send more aircraft carriers. That was easy to predict, really. But deployment of Gerald Ford is clearly indicated to me personally that from this massive aircraft carrier fleet that U.S. has, like 10 ships, right? Only few is actually battle capable. Only few, man. Otherwise, I don't think U.S. will redeploy. I don't think Pentagon will move Gerald Ford from Caribbean, because that buildup in the Caribbean was directed against Cuba first and foremost, right? Not necessarily against Venezuela. Although all the talk was about Venezuela, but that buildup, military buildup, was and still is about Cuba. And before end of this year, we might actually see U.S. assault on Cuba. So because aircraft carrier is being moved now, or will be moved from Caribbean towards the Middle East, this is definitely indicated that U.S. Navy highly advertised, right, throughout all sorts of propaganda means. Hey, U.S. Navy may not be that capable after all than some might think. They can only deploy like 2 freaking aircraft carriers out of 10. What the hell, man? Probably somewhere in the docks now there is active work, right, to prepare for deployment, some third carrier, and in upcoming days we might actually hear news that third aircraft carrier will be deployed. But nevertheless, this is definitely indicator, this situation, to me personally, that U.S. Navy is a freaking paper tiger, right? Paper tiger, not as powerful as this Hollywood propaganda says, man. And I hope Iranians will sink these freaking aircraft carriers, man. I really hope so. I'm going to be on Iranian side of Iranian people, obviously, by the way. I'm never going to be in support of evil empire that U.S. is. So Good luck to Iranian people, by the way. I hope they will fucking kill all the American militaries in the region. All of them, man. Right? US is the enemy of Russia, so I have no freaking mercy to US militaries, obviously, man. Let's kill them all, though. DD Geopolitics shared this report here that US forces complete mission in Syria to transfer ISIS detainees to Iraq. And this is a big danger, by the way. This is definitely a big danger for Iraq. US Central Commander completed the transfer mission following a nighttime flight from northeastern Syria to Iraq, February 12, to help ensure ISIS detainees remain secure in the detention facilities. The 23-day transfer mission began on January 21st and resulted in US forces successfully transporting more than 5,700 adult male ISIS fighters from detention facilities in Syria to Iraqi custody. And well, this is a danger, of course. This is a danger, of course, because thousands, first of all, thousands of ISIS fighters were released by the Damascus regime during the latest assault on the territories that were held by Kurdish forces. And those thousands of ISIS fighters will be, of course, sent by US and Israel into Iraq to destabilize Iraq. And same time, to keep busy, basically, Iraqi Shiite forces, right, and Iraqi forces, generally speaking, to keep calm, to reassure Riyadh, by the way, that if Saudis attack Iran, they're going to be no threat from Iraq towards the Saudi Arabia. That's the game plan, I guess, that Washington has, and to increase potential pressure on Iraq, or pressure points, they transferred 5,700 these ISIS fighters. Why they didn't take them into US, man? These are American fighters, right? This ISIS was created by CIA, so why they don't take these ISIS murderers to US? Why in Iraq? But yet again, this is a pressure point for sure on Iraq and their security. Iraqi government definitely, and security services definitely have to come up with double, triple lines of security around the areas where these ISIS fighters will be held, because by the way, what Americans gonna do. What Americans, Israelis, British Secret Service is gonna do. They will come up with some false flag operations, right, to free these thousands of ISIS murderers, right, to engulf Iraq into fire again. That's the reason why they are deploying these terrorists in Iraq. So Baghdad has to keep their eye on this development, because, and if necessary, they have to take out all those murderers, man. That's sentence, and that's it, man. Just execute them all. Period. There's nothing to talk about. It's murderers, right? Terrorists. Terrorists have no rights. That's it. But in any ways, clearly, US is generating more and more points of escalation throughout the region. That's for sure. And let me remind you, dear friends, that Iraq is a majority Shiite country. Iraq is a majority Shiite country, right? And they're a natural ally of Iran through this sectarian line, right? They're both majority Shiites. And if anything, of course, US wants to provoke, US Western ruling class, by the way, Israel, they want to provoke wars in the region on ethnic and sectarian lines, right? Between Shiites and Sunnis, between this ethnic group and that ethnic group, right? And when possible, they will definitely push for wars between the countries. And as far as I can tell, US is very much focused on Saudi Arabia, to force Saudi Arabia to launch a war against Iran at some point. And if Riyadh does it, that will be a grave mistake on their part, man. I don't think Saudi Arabia will survive that war as a kingdom or quasi-state or whatever. After that war, there's going to be no more Saudi Arabia on the political map. Will be erased. for sure. And there are a few more news, different. Canadian Alberta's independence movement is ramping up its efforts to gain independence. From Ottawa, activists aim to collect now 177,000 signatures to trigger independence referendum. This information is coming from Reuters. Despite talks with the US, campaigners' goal is allegedly sovereignty, not to join the US. This was stated by Alberta Prosperity Project representative Jeff Rath. And yeah, whatever. US not gonna stop. US ruling class. They want to overtake Canada. And of course, under whatever pretext, they will do it. They will do it. Alberta might be faster, right? Then this neighboring region is like New England province or something like that, like neighboring towards western from west. Whatever the case, man. Alberta might be first, and then the rest will follow. I guess I don't really care. Let's be honest here. Canada is enemy of Russia, so I mean, let them all go for independence, man. If they want to, or join the US, it's up to them, man. But to be honest, it is sad to see, man, this decline of Canada. Some 20 years ago, man, no, like 20, 30 years ago, if you ask anybody in this world, probably among best places to live, best countries to live, probably majority will mention in top 5 Canada, man. Probably majority throughout the world will say that Canada is in top 5. For some, it will be number 1, for others, number 5, but in top 5. Now, if you ask people throughout the world, which country do you think is the best to live? Canada probably would not be in the top 10, man, or top 20. I don't know, man. I would not mention Canada definitely in top 20 even. Neither US, by the way, right? I never consider US to be a good place for humans to live, right? Never considered US to be a country for people. But Canada was, in my personal opinion, some 20 years ago, man. It's no longer the case. So yeah, some turbulent times ahead of Canada, but I guess they deserve this, isn't it? They allow to have crazy politicians, crazy leaders, crazy elites, and that's the consequences of that. Few more news. Following a board of meeting on Friday, the Bank of Russia, as expected, lowered the key rate for the 6th time in a row, and again by 0.5 percentage point to 15.5% per annum, according to statement from the regulator. And yes, it was a 16% interest rate from the central bank. They lowered there to 15.5. Yeah. It's not really much. I don't think it will influence anything because it's too high, man. Anyways, right? Interest rates, it's just too freaking high. And also I have but nevertheless, dynamic is a positive one, right? It's a 6th consecutive time when interest rates were dropped. So dynamic itself is a good one, but still interest rate, unfortunately, is too high. I mean, 50.5%, that's extremely high, man. If you want to take a loan, by the way, in a bank nowadays, if you are lucky and even if you have a good record, by the way, you might be refused. Bank might not give you a loan, right? No matter how good your credit record is. Because I guess that's the policy that is coming down from central bank, right, and the financial group of Russian government to minimize loans, right, so that they will artificially downgrade the demand, right, so that this will help with the with cooling the economy, right? And to keep inflation in check. But even if you are lucky and you get loan, you know what's going to be interest rate from banks? Around 30%, brother. Double of what interest rate of central bank is. Around 30% annual interest rate. It's insane, man. Insane. This is not normal. And I don't know how long Russian economy can withstand this pressure, right? Without going into a recession. And I think there is a high risk, by the way, that this year we might end up in at least technical recession, or maybe even in a recession. But on this matter, Bank of Russia, central bank, is a bit more optimistic, and we have forecast about economical growth. The Bank of Russia maintained its forecast for Russian economical growth in 2026 at 0.5 to 1.5%, according to the regulators' updated medium-term forecast. Last October, the regulator also predicted Russian economic growth in 2026 of 0.5 to 1.5, and I mean, this might be very optimistic. Even though central bank generally is a very conservative institution, I live here, by the way. I live here in Russia, and I can just notice that things are not going that well, man, in economy. Yes, economy is withstanding for sure, but slowdown is visible, man. Slowdown is really visible. Maybe economical bloc of Russian government just went into this process of cooling down of economy with too much enthusiasm, right? And maybe they just overdid it. Maybe they just overdid it, man. And if so, then of course we might end up in a recession. Let's see, man. Let's see. Central bank always has tools in its hands, right? And economical bloc to push economy a bit, right? If necessary. I mean, they can drop interest rates like for 2 points straight away, and also issue sort of decree message for banks, commercial banks, to accelerate loans, right? Issuing loans, and that will boost, of course, demand significantly, and that will help economy. But seems like they are focused on inflation too much, to keep inflation under the double digits, and officially they are managing to do so, like 5.6%. That's the official number, I believe. 5 point something up to 6. And real inflation, I think, is higher, right? Real inflation is I think higher, but nothing dramatic is happening in this regard. So we can deal with this stuff. But maybe central bank and economical bloc just went with a little bit too much of enthusiasm in this fight against overheating, right? And eventually we might end up in freaking recession. And for a short time, maybe it will be technical recession, but we will see. We will see. By the way, it is freaking miracle, right? That Russian economy did not collapse, man. It's a miracle that Russian economy did not collapse. And why is that? Because of I will say, good work of economical bloc, including central banks. So therefore, even if every now and then me or anyone else will find certain policies to be too conservative, man, they know their job, man. They are high-level professionals, and they're high-level professionals, and they made this miracle possible, right? That despite 30,000 sanctions against Russia and everything that collective has come up with, economy is withstanding, man, pressure, and Unemployment is on historical low. Economy is still in a plus, right? It's growing. There is no recession yet, and may not be one. So therefore, let's see, man. I think economical bloc of Russian government is highly professional people, and they know what is better. They know what is better, man. Okay, this is it when it comes to news segment. Hopefully you find it informative and interesting, even if sometimes I was a little bit too direct and a little bit too emotional, but that's what real talk is all about, isn't it? And dear friends, let me thank Luca for a $10 donation through PayPal. Luke is and let me thank her, NSPK77. Thank you for your donation through PayPal. And also there is a super chat from Scooby with a commenter. Let me highlight this difference. Scooby shared the link on a Rumble about nuclear war, and I recommend, dear friends, Scooby always shares very interesting links in the chat, and I definitely recommend to check the links. He always has very interesting videos there, and thank you very much, Scooby, for your super chat and the dollar donation on Rumble. How nuclear war starts, second by second timeline. And there is a link, by the way. If you are watching on YouTube, I mean, you can check out my Rumble channel and you will see link, Scooby's link there. And Scooby, please drop the link in a comment section also, because from chat it might disappear after some time. Comments are disappearing from chat on Rumble. I don't know why. So drop this link on in the comment also. And well, that's it. There was nothing through Boosty. There was no more super chat, nothing. So, dear friends, should we go for a little community chat, or should I end the live stream now? What do you think? Write in the chat, please. I can go for a little community chat if you want to discuss any topics, really, for, I don't know, man, 20, 30 minutes, let's say. This is you, Scooby. You know what? I will copy now your link on Rumble, and I will drop in the chat on YouTube chat. Just a sec. I think I can do it. I dropped her. So I'm dropping now this link, by the way, that Scooby shared. It's a YouTube video. It's a YouTube video about nuclear war. I'm quite sure it's going to be interesting there. When Scooby drops some links on many occasions, I check their videos, and it's always interesting. So, dear friends, let's go for a little community chat term. Then Jeff is commenting, you guys lucky to have a leader like Putin, the man. I mean, he is definitely a historical figure, by the way. He will go down in history, definitely, as a legendary leader, for sure. So he already achieved that level. And first and foremost, because of the success of the Russian Federation during the peace times, right?
because when he became a leader of Russia, economy was doing extremely poorly, right? You know, things were bad, man. And during his presidency, Russia became a different country. So if anything, by the way, Putin will go down in history of Russia as a good leader, legendary leader, for tremendous success in terms of improvements in quality of life, building economy, right, and so on. Military times, of course, that's very many people might be disagree with these restraint policies that Russian president is exercising. So therefore, his leadership during the wartime might be questioned by many people. Let's be real, by the way. I mean, I'm talking to people here, right? It's not just me that quite often finds frustrating all this restraint stuff, but many other people, by the way, right? I literally don't know anybody who understands what is the calculus, right? Why we are acting this softly. And then, because you don't understand, you are beginning to search for some answers, right, on your own, some explanations, and usually we are coming up with the explanations that, well, someone has to be this usual stuff, by the way. Someone has to be adult in a room, and if Russia didn't exercise restraint, then who else will? And why should I care, man? Who else will? I disagree with restraint policies, period, right? And I have every right to have my personal opinion about it. So I disagree with restraint policies. So therefore, I mean, and many others, let's be real here, and many others have some questions about this restraint. Why it is that only now, 4 years practically after special military operation was launched, Russian militaries were allowed to take out, or to begin at least, neutralizing energy infrastructure on the Kiev-controlled territory. We did not knew, like 4 years ago, that energy infrastructure plays a vital role in terms of military-industrial complex of Ukraine, in terms of weapon shipments, troops shipments. Of course, we knew, but Russian militaries did not have the permission. It was a matter of political decision, right? Russian militaries had no permission to strike energy infrastructure. They did not, and they did not. Why? It's a legit question, isn't it? If we were not targeting then, why we are targeting now then? And if we are targeting now, why we did not target in 2022? Straight after it has become clear that Plan A, which is a rapid operation, quick operation, right, and the achievement of their agreement, when it has become clear that this Plan A is not working, it was derailed, right? This Istanbul talks, and then Johnson went into Kiev, and the Americans sent their people, and they derailed agreement, right? So from that very moment, when Plan B entered the force, why we did not neutralize energy infrastructure of the Kiev regime? Why? It's a legit question. How come that many bridges, by the way, in western parts of Ukraine that are vital for logistical lines of NATO to supply weapons, why those bridges not destroyed, but they were never even targeted? What the hell, man? I mean, what is this, man? I don't have to be a military freaking expert to understand that we have to distract logistical lines of your enemy, man, because logistics are crucial. So what the hell is going on? Why those bridges are not being even targeted in Western Ukraine? Let's take them down. Yes, some other bridges might be built then and stuff like that, but it takes time, right? It takes time. And when they build one pontoon bridge or whatever, let's destroy that too. You know? How come that even though NATO and NATO proxy regime is on regular basis targeting Russian political and military leadership, how come that Russian militaries and security services never get the permission to take out leadership of this terrorist regime in Kiev? It's a legit question, man. Why? What are we doing? Yet again, if we try hard, we can come up with all sorts of justifications, right? But it's not about justifying anything. It's about logic. What is the logical and what is not? And it is not logical that Russian militaries and security services have no permission, have no green light to operate in a way they think is necessary to achieve all their goals of the special military operation as fast as possible, as with minimal casualties on Russian side as possible, right? If they have a green light, I'm quite sure they will deal with the situation. They will finalize this special military operation successfully in a couple of weeks' time. I'm really 100% sure, by the way, that if Russian militaries and security services have a green light to do whatever they think is necessary from military standpoint and other points to succeed, right, as fast as possible and with as minimal casualties as possible, they will do the job in a few weeks' time. I know they will, man. I know 100%. I have no doubts about it. Man. And the vast majority of society here in Russia is absolutely confident that Russian security services, Russian militaries will finalize all this operation in a couple of weeks' time if they have a green light. And who's gonna give this green light? President. And he is not there yet. He is exercising restraint. So therefore, Putin is definitely a legendary president, 100%, by the way. He's going to go down in history as a great leader during the peace times. His leadership during the war times probably will be questioned by many. It is questioned already, by the way, and will always be in question because it is what it is, man. This comes with the territory, you know. This comes with the territory. When you are on a high-ranking position, some of your decisions may go down smoothly, and some of your decisions might be criticized and questioned forever, right? Forever. It is what it is, man. If you want to talk about any topic, dear friends, any questions, I don't know, use capital letter, please, or you can use also support platforms, of course, to send your question. You can do it through Rumble, where there is a super chat, right, feature. You can become a premium subscriber, by the way, on Rumble. That will be great support also. You can subscribe to my Patreon page on Boosty. This week, I was only able to make 2 updates, 2 extra videos on Patreon in the beginning of the week. But yet again, I mean, whenever I'm able to do extra on Patreon and Boosty, exclusive content, I'm doing so. And truly grateful for all the members of community there on the Patreon and also Boosty, by the way. Without their support, there would be no this project. Yes, you can subscribe to my Patreon, of course. And yes, there is a PayPal and Boosty, by the way. Through Boosty, you can donate if you want to. Scooby is commenting low unemployment and rising wages go hand in hand. I doubt Putin would have tolerated 2% unemployment absent their need for it in recent years. True.
I mean, 2% is very low. I believe it's less than 2% unemployment rate. It's 1 point something. And if you want to find the job, you can find the job, by the way. And as I said, these days I'm going through this process of job interviews and stuff. And day before yesterday, I had a good job interview. I'm waiting for a call now. They should call. If next week they didn't call in first 2 days, then I will resume looking for a job. And I have some specific demands, isn't it? I want to find a job that will allow me to work on this project also. So this makes a bit difficult to find a job that suits, right? But I will. But if I did not have this project, when I have to, I need at least 3-4 hours, right, a day to prepare the update and to do the live streams, let's say, on both my channels simultaneously. If I did not have this project, then I would find a job any week and any time. By the way, it's a lot of jobs. So there is a scarcity of manpower, really. I mean, most of the companies want more staff, but there are not that many people, man. So yes, and then when there is a shortage of manpower, workforce, of course, that will incentivize maybe not all companies, but at least some companies to increase the wages a little bit, right? So, that's how economy works, isn't it? Oh, yeah, I see there is some argument is going on between our Canadian members of the community. Nikos is commenting, I don't want to see Russia destroy Levant, but these people want World War III, and even if Russia strikes back, they welcome it. I wish it could be avoided, but unfortunately, you are right. I mean, there is too many indicators, Nikos. It's too many indicators. I'm not a warmonger. I don't want to see any freaking wars, man. But same time, I'm a realist, isn't it? I'm observing what is going on in the West. I see this extreme militarization. They are engaged in a war against us with the proxy war, right? And they are preparing to enter war against us openly also. And after all, it was a NATO generals, acting generals. I'm not talking about some retarded generals, right? So-called generals of NATO countries. There are plenty of those, right? General King, for example, this so-called expert that Fox News loves, right? This speaking psychopath. And there is many others, Petrios take a look what Colonel McGregor or Scott Ritter have to say about those so-called generals, man. But acting NATO generals were publicly saying that they are preparing to obliterate Kaliningrad, right? And they were talking about how they're gonna obliterate Kaliningrad region. They are talking about attacking and obliterating Russian region, killing hundreds of thousands of Russian civilians, and they are doing this publicly, right? And okay, talk is cheap, right? So let's take a look at their policies, because on level of statements, they are threatening us literally on daily basis. But let's see what's going on through policy stuff. Are they actually implementing some policies to be able to fulfill these threats? And actually they do. Germany alone in next 4 years is going to invest like $500 billion, right, into military industrial complex. It's a crazy amount of money, isn't it? And all the other countries, by the way, are investing hard. There is absolutely regular military exercises in Finland, in Baltic states, in Poland, by the way, right? These exercises are what? These are preparations for assault, right? What they're gonna do?
They are training, right? They want their officers to know what to do, how to act when order comes to cross their border and go on offensive, right? They may use a different language, like this is defensive operations, but in reality, we all know what is going on. Hitler, by the way, while massing its divisions on a Eastern Front, German leadership was also talking about defensive operations, defensive posture, correct? And then we know what happened. So attack is imminent. Direct open attack on Russia by European NATO member states is absolutely imminent, right? We know this. So question now comes, what we're going to do about it? What we're going to do about it? And by the way, let's keep in mind that Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, Russian high-ranking officials, military and political officials, already have said on numerous occasions, lately, like 2 days ago, was Shoigu, isn't it? Former defense minister and current secretary of their Security Council. That European countries are creating a bridgehead to attack Russia. That they are preparing to go for open war against Russia. Even Russian president commented on the issue that if they will go ahead with attack on Russia, you know what Putin says, isn't it? That shortly after attack, there might be nobody left there among European elites with whom we can negotiate. Strong words, yes, strong words, but I mean, yet again, one thing is the statements and the other is the policies, right? And in terms of policies, I don't know. We have to wait now until they will attack us, or maybe we should take some preemptive actions. I am in support of preemptive action. If fight is inevitable, if fight is actually inevitable, and militaries and intelligence and everybody is saying that they are preparing to attack us, so it seems like fight is inevitable, then why don't we take some preemptive actions? I don't know, man. If your country is threatened, by the way, even UN Charter allows you to take preemptive actions, right? If attack on you is absolutely inevitable, you have all the evidences, and seems like we do, right? Otherwise, why would either Shoigu or SVR, intelligence or foreign intelligence service, or any other institution or the officials will say so? So there is plenty of evidences, and after all, European elites are not even hiding this. So let's take preemptive action, by the way. I'm quite sure if Russia takes, I'm quite sure from technical point of view, Russia has enough assets, enough capabilities to demilitarize and France and the UK with their first strike. I'm quite sure Russia has enough means to demilitarize France and UK with the first strike. And this is, of course, should be number one priority, because both countries have nuclear weapons. So once France and UK are neutralized, their nuclear capabilities, I think retaliatory strikes on Germany, on Italy, on other countries can be scaled back, kind of, right? You don't have to go nuclear on them too, because there will be no threat of nuclear response. So you might, deploy some other assets, right? Other weapons to demilitarize, let's say, Germany, but without using extreme force, excessive force, right? You can do the same to Italy. The Russians actually can do this, man. That's what makes me go crazy, man, that we can do this and we are not doing it, man. What the hell? But first and foremost, of course, action has to be taken against France and the UK, by the way, because they have nuclear weapons. They have to be denuclearized, right? And it's not that hard, really. You might think it's difficult. It's nothing difficult, man. There is only a few ground bases in France where there is nuclear warheads, right? There is only several submarines that France has, and there is one aircraft carrier that potentially might have some nukes on board, potentially. Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier, right? It's a maximum dozen targets in France, in case of France, maximum dozen targets in case of UK, that can and should be obliterated, and that's it, man. None of those countries have nuclear capabilities left. I'm 100% convinced right now, by the way, at any given time of any given day, Russian militaries know where French nuclear submarines are, where British nuclear submarines are. 100%. We always know where they are, man. So we can always sink them. Always. With the first strike. And simultaneously, we can strike these French and British submarines at sea and also on the bases. Naval bases. One nuclear warhead. All it takes, man. One nuclear warhead. There is no base left. Right? Naval bases and ground bases that play key role in military capabilities of France and UK. Once we will demilitarize these two countries, things gonna change dramatically. And I don't give a damn what European elites think or would think about our actions, man. We will put them in their places. That's it. And then they're gonna be no more big wars, by the way. They're gonna be no World War III after that. Once we will demilitarize France and UK, they're gonna be no big war. US not gonna launch its nuclear weapons against Russia. If you think US will launch weapons, I have to disagree with you. They will not, because they will know that will mean end of US, right? Because Russian retaliatory strike will erase US from the map, from this planet. So I don't think US elites really want to die in nuclear fire, man, right? So that's how it is, man. France and the UK have to be demilitarized. First, this can be done with the first strike, preemptive strike. And yes, Russia has to use nuclear weapons for this, to make point, by the way, to make sure that all targets are neutralized. And it's a legit target. Both countries committed numerous acts of war against Russia, right? UK and France, both. So it's absolutely legit if we will retaliate with all the force that is necessary to demilitarize them. And after that, there will be no more World War III, because backbone of globalists will be smashed. And who's gonna push for World War III then? You? Me? No. We don't want no wars, right? So preemptive action is actually, absolutely needed, if you ask me. We have to break backbone of globalists, this evil force. And this can be done only with what I just said, man. Strikes on UK and France, first of all, and their demilitarization of both. And US will just stand by there and watch. They might make some strong statements, but they're not gonna commit suicide launching missiles against Russia. They're not gonna do it, man. Watch Woman on their wall 2015 is commenting the EU is break. I guess that's break. France and Germany need and want a war with Russia to reset their economic system. Well, France and Germany, they have some issues between each other, isn't it? And now we are observing. I don't know if you noticed that we are observing creation of new alliances inside Europe, and Germany is again building closer ties with Italy, while somewhat neglecting ties with France. So that's something also to keep our eyes on. But yes, they want war, man. They want war because both countries are controlled by globalists. French president is an asset of Rothschilds, right? Macron is an asset of Rothschilds. Who are the Rothschilds, by the way? Rothschilds are financiers of the globalists, right? Rothschilds are the globalists, among other criminal groups. right? Rothschilds are creators of their modern banking system in Europe, and one might argue throughout the world. So both countries and most powerful groups from this Rothschild clan are from where? From Germany, by the way, right? When they left UK, no, they did not left UK. They spread right from UK. So UK is under their direct, indirect control. They play a big role there. And France and Germany, right? So these countries are controlled by globalists. German chancellor is a BlackRock guy, right? Globalist. So it's globalists that want a war. And when I say globalists, by the way, I mean everyone has its own opinion what the globalists are or who the globalists are. In my personal opinion, globalists are European aristocracies. Globalist movement, I mean, core of the globalist movement is European aristocracies, right? European aristocracies that were controlling this world, most of it, throughout the centuries. And throughout these centuries, these European aristocracies build around them, of course, all sorts of criminal clans, gangs, groups, institutions, one might call it, that are in service of these elites, right? And just take a look at the Europe, by the way. It's all about that. It's all about that. City of London is still one of the most important financial centers in this world, while UK is formally, at least, right, not an empire, but they still maintaining the control through other means, right? Not by direct military force, but through other means, and these means are economical, financial, right? So in some ways, UK is still empire, right? It's still British Empire, but they control the situation through different means, differently, right? While putting up this freaking mask that, oh, they are this, they are all about peace and blah, blah, blah. The UK, man, seriously. So it's a globalist, right? Leading force among these globalists is a British aristocracy, of course. And there are some issues, right, between British aristocracy, British elites, and French elites. They historically dislike each other. There is a German aristocracy, German elites that are also historically hate everybody, right? German elites were always thinking that they are like real elites, right? Truly illuminated people, and the rest is just garbage. So there was this arrogance in German elites always, kind of, and Germans don't really like anybody. Let's be real, by the way. They don't really like anybody. Never liked. And they don't even like each other, man. And we should understand that modern Germany is a relatively recent creation. There are German tribes, right? There are a lot of German tribes in Europe that hate even, not just others, but they hate each other too, right? And Germans always, Germans were always disrespectful towards Austrians, for example. Austrians are freaking Germans too, man. Austrians are Germans. German tribe, descendants of the German tribes. But Austria always was treated as some sort of garbage, right? So German tribes, they hate each other too, man. And they hate everybody else. Some people may don't realize that Scandinavians, by the way, with the exception of Finns, right? Norwegians, Swedes, they are German tribes too. Their language now may sound very different than current German, but they are German tribes. Danes, by the way, are German tribes. What about UK, by the way? What about English people and the English language? English language is a German language, right? Language from German language of families. So yes, there is an internal confrontation, of course, among these European elites that not really like each other. But nevertheless, they are united in this pursuit of dominating the world, right? They want
to dominate the world. And among the globalists, most powerful force is British elites. British elites, right? That's how it is. And it's them that want a war. They want to push for an open war against Russia. They are preparing a number of European countries to be sacrificed, right? Because I guess their understanding of the situation is that either they will destroy Russia and grab Russian resources to maintain competitiveness on a global scale, or they are finished. They don't see any other options. They don't consider cooperation with Russia, for example, to be their path forward. They don't consider that because they cannot respect nobody, right? Russian leadership, including Russian president, by the way, was very open, isn't it? That let's cooperate, let's build during the early years of his leadership. Putin was very open to the idea to build even united economical space from Lisbon to Vladivostok. He was very much pro-Western in this sense, right? And definitely not the anti-Western individual, as I am, for example, right? I am clearly anti-Western because I think Western world is a shame of Indo-European civilization because of its moral degradation, because they lost humanity mostly in the Western world, man. I mean, level of degeneration is tremendous in the West. And I because I am Indo-European myself, I consider Western world to be our biggest shame as Indo-Europeans, right? If you are not, you might don't understand what I mean, but I think they are, elites, Western elites. I consider them to be like, I hate them as literally, right? I mean, maybe hate is too strong a word, but I see them as to be my enemies. Not the ordinary people, but Western elites, yes. I mean, they are my enemies. And I was never pro-Western. The Russian elites have this weakness, by the way, historically speaking. They seek approval from the Western elites, right? I don't know why, but since, I don't know, Peter the Great, practically all the Russian leaders were, not all of them, but practically all of them were seeking some approval from the Western elites. They were, I don't know what was wrong with them, but they were, in love with the West or something, right? They want to be recognized by Western elites as equals and this and that. And I guess now elites are the kind of same, right? And that's why before special military operation, all these freaking oligarchs and whoever had any freaking money here in Russia, you think what they were doing with it? They were investing in the West, right? In the West, everything was going towards the West, man. They were trying hard to become Westerners themselves, which is a shame, isn't it? And I never understood this because I never consider Western elites to be worthy, man. I never consider Western elites to be anywhere near to me personally or to my people, man, right? I always consider Western elites to be a scum of humanity, right? Filth, man. And so I never had this attitude, man, towards the West or the Western elites that other people do. Maybe because I'm a descendant of Scyphus Sarmatians, by the way, right? I'm descendant of Alans, Aryans, true Aryans. And therefore, I mean, who the hell is fucking British elites, man, or British aristocracy, or British freaking so-called royals, man? It's a filth. That's what they are, filth, man, right? They're nobodies, right? They are descendants of whom? They are descendants of whom, man? Mass murderers, rapists, and their scum of humanity that Vikings were? Really? That's what their descendants are of. I am descendant of Scytho-Sarmatian civilization, sir. Definitely, those so-called elites in the West are just nobodies, man, nobodies, right? So maybe this, this also has something. My attitude toward the Western elites also has something to do with my ancestry, right? But Russia was never led by. Oh, Russia was led once by descendant of Scytho-Sarmatians, and that was Stalin. He was Georgian Ossetian, right? Ossetian, and Ossetians are Alans, by the way, Aryans, right? Aryans in a good way, by the way. It's not in a German way, German Nazi way, man. They didn't. They were calling themselves to be Aryans, but they had nothing to do with Aryans, man. Right? They were living together with my ancestors, right? In northern parts of Black Sea, there was times, by the way, in Crimea and elsewhere, that German tribes, Goths and others were living there and learning quite a lot from Scytho-Sarmatians, Alans, right? There was exchange, cultural, linguistic, right? And even nowadays, by the way, in modern Ossetian, which is a member Ossetian language or Alan language, is a part of Iranian language family, right? But because German tribes and the Scytho-Sarmatian tribes were living together next to each other for a very long time, of course, there was exchange of certain words between them, right? Cultural exchange and stuff. And for example, there are plenty of words in German that you're going to find in modern Ossetian, right? Of Iranian origin, let's say. And there are rumors that some German students that are learning Old German, they are going to North Ossetia, Alania to learn Ossetian, right? To then be able to understand Old German or something like that. There are all sorts of legends. And Thor Heyerdahl, by the way, legendary Norwegian, isn't it? Explorer. Thor Heyerdahl was a participant. I have seen video, by the way, of that myself. So Thor Heyerdahl was participating in some exploration in southern Russia, modern-day southern Russia, that was a part of Scytho-Sarmatian civilization in old days, right? And he was talking about links between Scytho-Sarmatian civilization and German tribes, and he went to say, and you can Google it. I guess that video is still on YouTube, by the way. And he was saying that surprisingly, he was surprised when he learned about some traditions and legends of Alans, right? Ossetians, Nart epos, for example, and other stuff, because there was tremendous similarities with their Scandinavian legends, right? Different names maybe, but there is a tremendous similarity with the Scandinavian legends and pre-Christianity beliefs. And why is that? Because they were living together, man. The Scytho-Sarmatians and German tribes, at one point, some 2,000 years ago, living in next to each other. Then people spread, isn't it? German tribes went north. Eventually, they created the Scandinavian countries, and eventually, modern Germany was also created. Scandinavians, then had a tremendous impact on British, on creation of modern UK, right? Anglo-Saxons, they went in and killed almost all Celts, right? Locals. And the modern English people are basically German people, right? Mostly. Descendants of the German tribes, and very little Celtic in them. Because, Vikings went in and killed almost everybody. These Anglo-Saxons, German tribes, right? And nothing to be said about this interesting history of cooperation between Alans and the Vandals, by the way. When once they crossed Rhine rivers winter, they went on a historical rant, really,
end up creating number of kingdoms throughout the Europe. Then they went into North Africa, and in Carthage they created Carthage was their capital. By the way, they created kingdom even in North Africa, and they targeted Roman Empire, and even at one point even established control over the Rome itself, city. By the way, right? If you think, if you have not heard about this anything, just search it. By the way, this is true story, right? Conquest of Alans and Vandals. Just search it, and you will see fascinating history there. And so, yes, I mean, the question was quite a simple one, and I went through freaking everything, isn't it? That's a community chat. So hopefully this tour through history is an interesting one. And so, yes, it's globalists, by the way, globalists that want war, right? Because they are unable to build their decent relationships, friendly, polite relationships with the Russian Federation. They cannot cooperate with Russia. They cannot cooperate with nobody, right? All they know through centuries is to dictate, right? They are unable, even if they want to, I guess, they would not be able to build their relationships with any country based on mutual respect or mutual benefit, right? Because they don't know how to do this. Through centuries, they were telling people what to do when they were in charge, in control, and that's what they want, right? That's what they know, that's what they want. And they are seeking destruction of the Russian Federation to take control over the resources, because in their sick minds, this is the only way they can maintain competitiveness on geopolitical scale. If they were normal people, man, they would seek cooperation with Russia, and they will have all the access they need to whatever resources, right? Let's do business, man. Moscow was always open for business, but yet again, these European elites don't want that. They don't know how to do business based on respect, mutual respect, and mutual benefit. They want to be in charge, and on that, sorry, by the way, those so-called elites in the West are freaking nobodies, right? To be in charge of Russia. They are nobodies, man, right? And I hope one day Russia will have a leader that will treat Western elites as I do, by the way, because Western elites are filth. That's it, man. I don't need no freaking approval from anybody in this world, by the way, right? From anybody. And for sure not from freaking elites of the West, man. That filthy, disgusting scum of humanity, man. What are you talking about? You know? But unfortunately, Russia historically has this issue, man, that these elites here in Russia have this soft spot for Western elites, and they are constantly seeking approval of them, and they're usually trying to avoid confrontation and stuff. Why, man? Go and smash their freaking faces, man. Do favor for ordinary people in Europe, man. Let them be free of these oppressive criminal regimes and their systems that they have, man. What the hell? And one day Russia might come, actually, man, to liberate people of Europe. One day, maybe we will, you know. But under the different leadership, definitely not now. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan, I think we are paying France for Rafales in France or euros. It will be interesting to see US reaction if we do francs, in francs or euros. I mean, this Rafale business is not that big, really, to have any impact, basically, on a dollar. Of course, Washington not gonna like it that in a trade between two countries, dollar is not used, but well, yet again, euro is a Western currency, isn't it? Franc is a Swiss franc. I mean, you're saying that is, isn't it? It's a Western currency, so I don't think this is gonna be a big issue. Although, of course, Washington would prefer all the deals to be done in a dollar, but volume of that contract is just peanuts, right? It's maybe sounds big for ordinary people. Like, I don't know, entire contract is like $10 billion on Rafales, 15. It's peanuts, man. It's nothing. Scooby is commenting, maybe the EU just using the excuse of war to make the Union a unitary state. That's my theory anyways. Well, there is attempt, isn't it, Scooby? You are on point that there is clearly push to transform this organization into a state-like entity, and it already acts like one, isn't it? Brussels took quite a lot of sovereignty from all the other capitals. Correct? Brussels now is in control mainly of foreign policies of the European countries, mainly, right? There's some resistance there, but mainly Brussels is dictating what's going to be foreign policy of EU member states. Brussels is dictating military terms also, with whom you can cooperate, with whom you don't, how much money you have to allocate on a military staff, or how much you have to allocate for this proxy war, and it's all going through Brussels. So definitely you are on point. EU is already being transformed into this quasi-state, right? And as time goes by, I guess Brussels bureaucrats will try to tighten the grip over their EU member states as much as possible, for sure. And they don't really need any excuses to do so. Even before 2022, they were on this track. And now they are just accelerating the process while using this conflict with Russia. Watchwoman on the wall is commenting, Russia is not pro New World Order. That's why NATO hates Russia. I mean, what is the New World Order? Ideally, New World Order would be created if multipolar world will succeed in its creation. But unfortunately, process of building this multipolar world is being, not necessarily reversed, maybe, but stopped, kind of, right? Because where is the multipolar world? Where is these international organizations? Where are their voices, right? When there is this struggle of humanity against evil force, where is the multipolar world? Why they are not standing with Russia? So I don't even know what New World Order means no more. I was thinking that it's gonna be this multipolar world, but it's kind of been paused for now. Let me check, by the way. Dear friends, tomorrow we're going to have also community chat. Tomorrow is a Sunday, isn't it? So it's going to be community chat, and let's call it a fundraising stream also. Maybe it will work out. If you are new to this channel, then I'm just letting you know that on Sundays we have big community chat and fundraising stream. Sometimes we succeed there, sometimes not in terms of fundraising, but Nikos is also commenting, I don't want to fight Russia either, but even here in Greece, there are recruitment ads for us to join the fight. You
honored our founder 2 days ago, and they want us to fight you. Greece is controlled by globalists, Nikos. You know this, I know this, everyone knows this, right? And what can I say, man? I love Greek people, right? Greek people are Orthodox Christians, so therefore they are our brothers, man. That's it. And it's sad, man. It's just sad that relationships between Athens and Moscow are this bad, man. It's never come to this, but yet again, that's what happens when you lose sovereignty. And the Greece unfortunately lost its sovereignty, and Greek people might be sacrificed also, and probably will be sacrificed by Western elites, by globalists, if they find it necessary. That's unfortunate reality. I'm telling you, only way we can move away from this trajectory of direct open collision between European NATO member states and Russia is to take some preemptive strikes on UK and France, I think. I mean, this will stop globalists. I mean, if Russia succeeds, I don't think Moscow is going to consider this, by the way. We are just theoretically now exercising different ideas, isn't it? But I think realistically, only way we can avoid this trajectory of collision is if Moscow strikes France and UK and denuclearizes both. In that case, globalists will lose their ground, right? In that case, globalists will be finished. Otherwise, I mean, what's gonna stop this trajectory, Nikos? You tell me. What? I mean, I hate the idea of deploying any force anywhere, right? I hate this, man. Some people misunderstood me. You know, when I say that preemptive steps have to be taken, and if necessary, these weapons deployed and that. I'm saying so not because I'm warmonger and I want to see this, but because I want to avoid even bigger destruction, right? And if we will not take some preemptive steps, by the way, then we're gonna end up in a war. And you tell me how that's gonna end for many millions and millions of people, man. While preemptive action against France and UK would avoid that direct clash. Global is not gonna stop. They cannot, man. They just cannot, right? These are sick people, man. Globalists are sick people that will do anything and will sacrifice anybody to maintain their position as their dominant force. That's it, man. They don't care you are Greek or French or German or English or Scottish or whoever. They don't care, man, who you are. They will sacrifice you. They will sacrifice your country. Everybody. And it's on the surface, but you don't have to be genius to understand this. And I don't know what happened to free thinkers in Europe, by the way. Why people are not rebelling against this stuff? I don't know. America will do the same thing to China. America has fallen, is commenting. So America will do the same thing to China as they are doing to Russia. They will use Japan and other small Asian countries to go after China and weaken it. America is playing smarter. Well, US is already deploying the absolutely same tactics against China in Asia Pacific, isn't it? As they do against Russia. It's same. It's like same books, right, that are used for these strategies and tactics. It's the same think tanks basically that are providing these strategies to American ruling class. So they are, in many ways, they're acting quite similarly on different directions. And I agree with you absolutely. China will, China will experience similar approaches from American side or Western side than they see in regards to Russia. True. Jeff is commenting, Russia is Canada's ally from World War II. Current government does not represent Canadians, but fascist elements. Thank you for your comment. Trust me, Jeff, you might go around any part of Russia all day longer and search for Canada haters here, and you would not find one, right? So there is no aggression against peoples, by the way, of the Western countries here. I mean, there is no aggression, no hate. In the West, by the way, I mean, literally on daily basis, videos are popping up, isn't it, on internet when Russian speakers, not even Russian citizens, but Russian speakers, by the way, from other republics. And Russian language is an international language, by the way, right? I don't know, 500 million people probably speaks Russian. And there's only 145 million inside the Russia itself. So it's international language. Many people know this language, right? And use this language in daily life. And on daily basis, videos are popping up from Europe, from other parts of the world, especially in the Western world, when Russian citizens and also Russian speakers have been harassed just for talking into Russian, just from either being Russian speaker or being Russian. Is that not a hate crime? Is that harassment is not based on hate? Of course it is, right? And I'm telling you, man, you may go anywhere in Russia, literally anywhere, and search for people that have any hate for either European peoples or the peoples of North America or any part in this world, man. You will struggle to find, man, because I don't know, we don't live like that. We don't hate entire freaking nations, man. We don't even know how one can do this, man, right? How one's brain is gonna work to hate entire population. It's insane, isn't it? But we've been hated, man. We've been hated there throughout the world just for being part of Russian world, man. Russian speakers, right? Russian citizens. It's insane, man. And yes, we should be allies for sure. In ideal world, we would have a great relationships between Moscow and Ottawa, between two countries. But in this world, by the way, well, Canada is in anti-Russian coalition, quite active member actually, and send a lot of billions and billions to kill Russians and a lot of weapons to kill Russians. Act of war, by the way, for sure. Unfortunate. Nikos is also commenting, also China, they're a great multipolar ally, in quotes. Irony here, of course, send energy package to Ukraine. I know Sibiga, foreign minister of Kiev regime, had meeting with Chinese foreign minister, isn't it? And yes, China gonna outsmart itself, man. I'm telling you, Beijing gonna outsmart itself, and they're eventually gonna lose big time. They're gonna lose big time because they are actually
primary target of their globalists. They are attacking Russia now, of course, but they have their eyes on China, right? And Beijing, I think Beijing already dig the grave for itself in the long run. With the current policies of this so-called neutrality, in reality, when they are just making good buck on this war, and hoping that this war will last as long as possible, because that weakens their Western military capabilities, U.S. military capabilities. At least that's what Beijing thinks. I think they dig their grave for themselves, man. Chinese leaders. So yeah, they should blame themselves when things happen. And definitely they are not Russian allies, man. Let's forget that nonsense. Of course, China is not a Russian ally, never was, never will be. Period. They had the chance to prove themselves, they failed. They failed miserably, right? So never ever I personally gonna take China as a even friendly nation, man. Fuck China, right? Fuck him all, man. These cowards. Well, that's about it, isn't it? We spoke about numerous topics. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan gets stuck on this topic far too long. I guess you are talking about this question that about when I went through history and stuff. Yeah, sometimes it happens. This is live stream, and after all, I already done the news segment, and now we are just having a chat, by the way. So yeah, sometimes it happens. You just you will get carried away, right? And you know. Also, Nidish is commenting, Levan, we are spending $36 billion, 80. Oh, that's serious. For how many planes, man? $36 billion. 80% of them will be made in India, new production line integrated of our weapon systems, and quantities is around 114 Rafales. Still 36 billion. Wow, that's quite a lot, man. Yet again, I think India made a mistake with this Rafale stuff, man. For Navy, I could understand why would they think to replace MiG-29s with Rafales, especially if Russian military-industrial complex cannot provide right now new planes, right? New carrier-based planes to replace MiG-29s. So it makes kind of sense, right, in terms of naval aviation to do Rafales. But for a ground-based planes, I don't know, man. You have Su-30s. Do you think Rafale is any better than Su-30s or what? It's It's not better than Su-30s. It's the same generation plane. No breakthrough technologies there, right? Even if France will transform production, if there will be licensed production of Rafales in India, there are going to be no breakthrough technologies that you will acquire by doing so. Technologies that will help you to build like fifth or sixth generation planes. So I think this is a corruption. This deal become possible due to corruption. Someone in Indian government took a big paycheck from French side to approve this deal. I think that's what happened, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Brutally honest. That's what I think. It's his only explanation, man. Because why you need a freaking Rafales, man, when you have Su-30s, and when you have opportunity to buy freaking Su-57s if you want to. It makes no sense. For Navy, it does make sense, but rest is absolutely unnecessary. It does not benefit India, man. So I don't know. 36 billion being wasted like that, man. Wow. But yes, I mean, even though 36 billion is quite a lot, but if India will pay in euros or Swiss francs, still, by the way, I don't think that will make US too angry. US might be not happy that this money is going to France and not into US, right? I believe Washington wanted India to buy some US planes, isn't it? But other than that, you know, why you need Rafales, man? why Delhi did this shit, man? I don't know. It's crazy. Being in a position of 200 Su-30s, 200 Su-30s you have, and then purchasing much worse plane in every possible ways, Rafales. Why, man? What the hell? It truly makes no sense, man. And I'm not saying this because of these legends that Chinese J-10s humiliated Rafales. Maybe they did, maybe they did not. But Su-30s are better planes than Rafales, right? I don't know. If India wanted to buy Western plane, if India wants to distance itself from Russia, let's say, and wanted to demonstrate this and buy Western planes, then go for F-15EX, man. Go for F-15EX. I mean, like, definitely better than Rafale. A long range capability, multi-role fighter jet. Go for F-15EX, man. But they did not. They chose this garbage, Rafale. It's a corruption, man. Someone took big paycheck, for sure. That's how France does business, man. That's how France does business, to sell its weapons. They are corrupting, not just France, by the way, but I guess that's how military world arms sector is working, right? Arms trade or something. There was a corruption scandals in one of the Middle Eastern countries also, isn't it? Because UK was selling some garbage, by the way, literally garbage, man, to one of the Middle Eastern countries. And when this news broke, it was just too freaking late. And this deal was done because some official in the Middle East just took bribes, man. Took a lot of money, sign up for papers, and that's it, man. UK send a lot of garbage there. That probably stationed somewhere in the desert now, right? And will be there for, I don't know, thousands of years from now. Of course, if conditions are right for preservation. I'll tell you what I think. India, China, and Russia cannot permit the United States to attack Iran.
I don't think US is asking for any permissions, obviously, or the Western world, by the way. They're not asking for no permissions. But I agree with you that we cannot afford. We cannot afford, if we are smart, by the way, and strategical, then we cannot afford Iran to be destroyed and Middle Eastern region to be engulfed in fire of ethnic wars, sectarian wars, wars between the countries and the nations, and their navigation in the Persian Gulf to be stopped or distracted significantly. And we cannot afford this. And therefore, I think it makes all the sense if Moscow, Beijing, and let's say Delhi will come up with combined statement that attack on Iran will mean attack on our countries. Maybe this will deter West. Or if Beijing and New Delhi don't want to go for that, then maybe if Moscow alone will say that what you attack Iran and I'm on you. If Moscow will send strong message, maybe that will deter Western world, man. It worked in 1971, right? When Moscow defended India from Western attack. Maybe it will work this time around too, because if Western ruling class succeeds with their engulfing Middle East in a ethnic wars, civilian wars between their nations, if Western ruling class succeed in shutting down navigation in the Persian Gulf, then we rest of the world are in big trouble, especially global South, especially Russia and China, and others too. And I explained my take on this in quite a detail, by the way, why I think so in previous videos. So I will not repeat myself. But I agree with you. We cannot afford to stay aside while Western ruling class is moving on to destabilize whole Middle East. Agree. David King is commenting, Greece is captured, not sovereign. Yes, unfortunately, that's how it is. And yet again, by the way, we love Greek people, man. They are our brothers and sisters, right? So there is no hard feelings towards the Greek people. Never gonna be, but it's a sadness. It's a sadness, right? That instead of being these great friends and allies, Greek is led by globalist puppets, and they are pushing Greece into this camp of Russian enemies. It's heartbreaking, man. But it's really heartbreaking, man. How this is even possible? But Nidish Kumar is also commenting, think fire is the liberator in the Cuba refinery. Well, lately I see several stories, by the way, not just in Cuba, but also in regards to Iran. Well, suddenly there is some massive fires, right? And some emergencies on energy infrastructure and other vital infrastructure. And I think this is not random stuff. I think there is a high probability that some sabotage activity is being taking place. Because every other day, by the way, something is burning in Iran, and now every other day something gonna burn in Cuba too. There's not that much stuff to burn in Cuba, by the way, in terms of infrastructure, energy infrastructure, for example. But nevertheless, I think CIA, U.S. intelligence services, secret services, and their allies gonna activate their assets that they have in Cuba to come up with all sorts of sabotage activity. to destabilize the situation, to make life even more difficult for people, to push basically towards unrest, right? Unrest and to invite eventually Washington to conduct this regime change and basically recolonize the Cuba, because Cuba was a U.S. colony basically before revolution, right? And American secret services, American mafioso families, they were in control of the country, right? They were using Cuba as a money laundering scheme. They were using Cuba for all sorts of purposes, right? Criminal activity. And they have their ally in Havana, isn't it? That Batista garbage element. And they're going to transform Cuba again into a U.S. colony. And they will. I'm afraid they will, man. Because let's say if I mean Russia and China first of all, and Russia and China, because we are just situational allies, by the way, not real allies, because I don't think China can be a real ally to Russia or to anybody, but we are sort of situational allies because we have same enemies. We just have same enemies, man. And so based on this on this position of being situational allies, if we are unable to protect Iran, man, in our neighborhood, then how are we going to protect any country anywhere in this world, any, let's say, ally or the partner? So therefore, I think when US will go for a final push against Cuba, probably they will succeed and they will overrun the government there, they will overrun the country, and my only hope is at this point that there's going to be no civil unrest, civil war in Cuba, by the way, right? Because that will make life even worse, life conditions even worse than it is right now. That's the only hope I have in regards to Cuba, by the way, that this transformation, inevitable as it seems to me, transition of Cuba from a current situation to colonial situation, hopefully will be bloodless. But process itself, I think, is unstoppable, and the US will recolonize Cuba. It is what it is, man. And no one gonna come for help, man. No one. Yes, Russia promised to provide Cuba with some humanitarian aid in terms of fuel and God knows what else, but and Moscow will provide. I mean, Russian ambassador in Cuba said so, and so Moscow will provide, I guess, right? But in terms of protection, I don't think Russia can do much, man. If we cannot protect Iran right here, man, in our neighborhood, then how we can protect Cuba on the other side of this planet? You tell me. So I just hope this transition that is inevitable in regards to Cuba will be bloodless, man. Because people suffered for decades and decades and decades due to this illegal US restrictions and Western restrictions, right? Sanctions, blockade, embargo, and so on. And last thing they need now is a civil war and total chaos, right? Christopher is commenting, Germanic tribes DNA shows Scythian, understandable, because, as I said, man, Scytho-Sarmatians, by the way, tribes and German tribes were living next to each other and interacting very well. We are talking about thousands of years
back, man, right? Scythians, Celtic primary DNA from perhaps 3,000, 5,000 years ago. Yes, because when they're either Scythians or the German tribes, when they moved northwards, westwards, of course, they interacted with their local Celtic tribes, and eventually Celtic people largely were exterminated. But of course, there was interaction also, and DNA will show up. And you are saying exactly that. So yeah, man. When it comes to Scythians, you know what is Scythians, by the way. I mean, if you take a look, let me open the map right now. Let me open the map and I will show you now, by the way, areas that we are talking about. Let me go for. Thank you for your comment, and let me show you the difference. This map, right here. That's the approximate area of Sarmatia, and we are talking about thousands of years ago, by the way, right? Entire southern Russia and southern, modern southern territories of Ukraine, if not all of it, man, were part of Sarmatia, and also western parts, right? Territories that are nowadays called Romania and then Moldova, and the Dniester River, by the way, has its origin in Sarmatian language, right? Dniester, Dnieper, Don, all these names, and toponym. There is hundreds, potentially thousands of toponymic names, by the way, throughout the Europe, also with their roots into Sarmatian civilization. So history is a nice one. And you know what is interesting? I want to ask you, man, maybe I mean, if you are an expert in British history, Scottish history especially, why the Scots, while signing up this Magna Carta, why the Scottish nobles say that they are descendants of Scythians? I mean, why they say that? Do you know? I don't have an explanation for this, because as far as I can tell, even though, by the way, there was, according to history, when the Roman Empire was in charge of British Island, Britain, they sent their 5,000 plus Alan knights, right? Cavalry, Alan cavalry. Sarmatian tribe, by the way, Sarmatian cavalry, let's say, into UK, right? Into Britain. There was no UK then, but into Britain. And this, I can understand that these thousands of Sarmatians, and that's why there is these legends, by the way, right? About King Arthur and his knights and stuff. King Arthur himself allegedly was Roman, but knights were all Sarmatians, right? But I guess the story is based on some true and some legends, right? But nevertheless, there was a significant force, 5,000 plus people, right, of Sarmatian origin, these warriors. So eventually they probably get localized, right? They created the families, some died in wars, and some was assimilated into local population, right? But that is happening in territory of modern, let's say, England, right? London and some surrounding areas, mostly England. Maybe Welsh, bit, maybe, I don't know. But Scotland is a bit far away, isn't it? And so why Scottish nobles say in Magna Carta that they are descendants of Scythians? Do you know, dear friends? I don't know. I find it fascinating, man. But I don't know what was their what was the self-understanding of those people in Scotland at the time. I don't know. And Scots mostly are Celts, right? That there must be, of course, Germanic ancestry among Scots, significant, but also among Scots and the Irish people, maybe Welsh people, but mostly Scots and Irish. Probably they have more Celtic ancestry than English. I mean, English people probably don't have any, or maybe just a few percentage point, right? But Scots probably have more Celtic than. So why they were thinking that they are Scythians, man, or Sarmatians? They are Celts, right? Was there any connection, man? I don't know. There are crazy legends, right, that are circulating. Maybe some Sarmatians end up in there too. Anna is not happy that I'm. What? Ah, she's telling me that live stream is going too long now. Okay. I will end now. I will end the live stream. There was nothing to highlight. No, there was no super chatter, nothing through Boosty, PayPal. Well, that's unfortunate, by the way, that there is nothing to highlight through the support platforms. But maybe tomorrow we will have this big community chat also and fundraising stream. And dear friends, before my family rebels here, I will end this live stream. Hopefully you find chat informative, interesting, by the way, and entertaining. Thank you all for your attention, for your time, dear friends. Have a wonderful day, and see you tomorrow. Take care.